We get asked a lot, how do I not have brush strokes? My first answer is always use a sprayer. But if you're not going to use a sprayer, we're going to give you a few tips and tricks on how to use paint and reduce brush strokes.
So these pieces belong to our friends Frida and Rob. Rob made them, and we're going to tell you a little bit about them.
I like to save my old paint cans for when I want to mix colors. Today I'm mixing up White Swan and Petticoat Pink because Frida wanted a softer pink than what Petticoat Pink was. So we're just mixing it up. There's always paint stuck down in the bottom, so I'm adding a little bit of water, swish these around, and pour the rest of the paint out. I always like to mix up more than I think I'm going to use because it's hard to get the exact same color twice. I also really love to do 1 part paint mixes, so that way it's really easy to recreate. If I have to mix more, I'll just use 1 part White Swan to 1 part Petticoat Pink.
When we first moved into the neighborhood 12 years ago now, Rob and Frida lived right across the street from us and helped us move in. And Rob loves to build things and do things with his hands and kind of create. If he thinks he can make it, he did. And these are some of the things that he built.
What I'm doing now is I'm using the Mister bottle. This is the Water Girl. We don't have our labels yet, but they are coming. This is brand new out. And what this does is it just helps move the paint around and reduces brush strokes. I like the mister because it's a continuous mist and not like a big hard squirt. If you do a harder squirt bottle, it's just gonna make your paint drip and run, and that's not what we're trying to do here. I'm gonna hold my paintbrush kind of at an angle, almost parallel with the piece, and I'm gonna drag the paint across. This helps reduce brush strokes. It's a little streaky now, but once we get the second coat on, it'll be nice and smooth, especially with spraying that water. Helps thin the paint out a little bit. When we first moved in, Rob was in the bishopric, which means he was the guy who helped the bishop out and helped run meetings. And then he became the bishop of our ward. Bishops help assign service members in the church to help out with the congregation, and they also help with the youth. Our oldest boy had a particularly close relationship with him because he occasionally wound up in the bishop's office. Working on family heirlooms always makes me a little bit nervous, and we don't do custom work, like, ever.
Well, we used to. We used to do tons.
We used to do it all the time, but we don't do it anymore. But when Frida asks me to do something, it's hard to say no, especially when it's something that Rob made for her.
So about 4 years into Rob's ministry as bishop, he found out that he had cancer again, and he didn't tell anybody. It was his second time around with it. Once he found out, it was already progressed so far that he didn't have a lot of time left with us, and he continued to serve up until about 2 weeks before he passed away. And it was a really hard time in our community, our little community in our ward here. We all rallied around Frida and her family. They have 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. And most of their kids have grown up with our kids, our oldest kids. And so we're really, really close to them.
Frida was Redrick's first grade teacher. Every time he sees her, he gives a big old hug. So aside from woodworking, Rob loved to watch Star Wars. He had 1,000,003 pets in his house. He was an amazing father, and he wasn't just a father of his 5 kids. He was a father of the entire ward. I think that was why it was so hard when he left, because it was like losing your favorite uncle. He made everybody feel like they had a close personal relationship with him, and I really feel like they did. So we've had this project in our garage for like 6 months.
It's been a while.
Well, we got it was in perfect condition except for it had a crack in the top, which Zeb fixed. And then we thought we'd immediately get to it, but then we bought the house and opened the shop. It just never happened.
Frida has been patiently waiting for us to finish this.
It's probably why we don't do custom work. I thought we might as well get this project finished because Christmas is just around the corner. Frida just turned, I don't know if she wants the world to know, but 50 years old, and I thought it would be a sweet thing to get this project finished for her just in time for Christmas. So we've actually painted quite a bit of projects for Frida, a few things that Rob has made, and some of the furniture that they purchased together. She didn't want to get rid of her items, but she also needed them to be just a little bit different, so they matched her decor, and just so that way she could honor him, but it would ease the sting of everything looking exactly the same. Rob and Frida have the kind of love that everybody wants. A lot of times when I think about my relationship with Zeb, I think that it probably mirrors some of what they have together. So it makes it a little bit harder when I'm working on projects for her, because I can't even imagine what that might be like. I'm pretty sure the first project I painted the red bench on their front porch. I cried the entire time I was working on it. The sweet part of the story is that since Rob has passed, she's had 2 boys serve missions for the church. She had one of her children get married. Her other married daughter gave birth to the cutest little boy. And her oldest boy is expecting another baby here pretty soon.
All her adult children are getting their doctorates.
Yeah, they have some really smart children. Rob was a pharmacist, and he has his son-in-law is going to be a doctor, his son's going to be a pharmacist. They're good kids. One of my favorite things that Rob ever built in their coffee table, they have those he made it, is it called a terrarium, Seb? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Rob loved animals, which means they brought home a lot. I really should have found out with the final count, but they've got lots of dogs, and I think they've got a few other obscure animals, but one of the most obscure animals that he brought home were his frogs. They're like the kind with that venom that could kill you. And he made a coffee table that was beautiful, but in the center of the coffee table lived his frogs. And they're still there, hanging out. A loving reminder of Rob bringing stuff home.
He loved everything about cars, and he constantly was getting new ones and changing them out and trading his old ones in. And he got himself a little 350Z Nissan convertible. And I was out doing yard work, and he'd probably had the car a few hours. And he saw me doing yard work, and he's like, hey Zeb, do you want to go for a ride? And this was back when I was working at Discount Tire. Like, if I didn't get that yard work done on my one day off, it wasn't going to happen. And I was kind of hesitant, kind of not. And he insisted that we go for a drive. So we took it out on the freeway, and he drove it for a little bit, and then he gets off on an off-ramp, and he's like, now you drive it. And I was like, all right. It's like his brand new car that he's had for a few hours, and
Wasn't it red too?
It was blue.
It was blue.
Yeah, he wanted me to drive it pretty bad because he knew I worked at the tire shop, and he knew I was into cars. And he's like, and he didn't just want me to drive it, he wanted me to get after it. And so we took it back out on the freeway and tested it out a little bit, and then we brought it back and he put it in the garage, and I didn't see it for a few days because he was busy working too. But
he was a really modest man, and at the time he wasn't the bishop, and the bishop lived right next door. And I remember you telling me that he's like, oh, what is the bishop going to think about this, extravagant purchase? I think he was, kind of midlife. He actually had just gotten over, I think, the first bout of cancer because he had melanoma, I believe. And so he was kind of celebrating with that car purchase. Yeah.
But he was excited about it, and he needed someone else that was going to be excited about it too to go for a ride with him. So we went for a ride. All right, it's time for the second coat. This is all dry, and you can see we've got a few spots here from the water and some streakies and things. But if you touch it, it's very smooth. You can just see where the paint is thin from the first coat. It doesn't actually really feel like it has brush strokes on it. It's very smooth, which is what we're going for with the water.
When you're putting on your second coat, make sure you don't push super hard because you will reactivate that first coat. So you just want to have a light touch and smooth it on. Don't overwork any areas. If you have a few areas where you can still see a little bit of the original paint finish when you're done, you can just come back and touch that up, but you shouldn't need a third coat. So the Water Girl is actually the brainchild of Dionne Woods. She was, as far as I know, the first person to use a water bottle to paint with. She uses it for paint blending, and we've got quite a few videos with that. And I'm super excited that she's now got her own signature water bottle out. So the next step is going to be sanding this smooth. We are going to sand all the flat surfaces, lightly distress the edges, and call it good. Because DIY paint is really porous and a clay-based paint, it almost powders off into like this smooth little dust, and you'll get a really smooth, buttery finish, and then you can wax it, and that way your brush strokes won't be as prevalent. Now that we've completely sanded it, it's buttery smooth, you're not feeling the brush strokes anymore, we are ready to clear wax it. I'm using DIY clear wax. It will make the paint much darker, and then when the wax dries, the color will be somewhere between the light color and the dark color here. After it sits overnight, we'll come back and buff it, and we'll get a little bit of sheen on here, and it'll be protected for years to come. I really wanted to hand paint this because there's something to be said for doing something by hand. This was hand built by Rob, and I can picture him spending countless hours putting this together, sanding it down, making sure everything was just right. Every time you do something or create something, you put some of your energy into it, and I can almost imagine him doing that while I'm doing the same thing, putting my energy into finishing this for Frida.
The wax has sat on this overnight. I'm just gonna go ahead and buff it. I've got a lint-free rag. You can use the buff brushes that we have from Paint Pixie. You can find those at jamirayvintage.com. They actually work really well, but because this has such a big flat surface, this rag is gonna work great on these too. The big secret to getting wax to be durable is to put on multiple coats. So after this, on the top of here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 more coats of wax on the top, and that's gonna build up enough layers that it will be durable for a long time. You don't have to re-wax. Kind of a good gauge on wax when you're buffing it and you know you've buffed enough, your rag or whatever you're using to buff with will start to have less drag. It'll slide real smooth over the top of your piece instead of wanting to kind of catch where you've got spots that have excess wax.
We enjoyed using the Water Girl on this project. It really helped create a smooth finish. We're thankful to be able to finish this project for Rob and Frida. When you create something, you put a little piece of your heart in that, and I hope that we've added a little piece of us to this and that Frida can enjoy this for years to come. We both know that true love never ends, that it lasts beyond this life. We're thankful that you were able to watch this video with us. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more
DIY.
Hit the subscribe button.